Hello and welcome to your in-depth weekly horoscope for week commencing the 5th of December for the Sun or the Ascendant. I'm going to give you some key strands to look out for, but please stay with me. I will then dive deep to give you in forensic detail each of the 12 zodiac signs from Aries through to Pisces. Now, of course, we've been in Sagittarius season, and as this week begins, there is still that flavour, the Sun, Mercury and Venus. And Mercury and Venus still very closely together. But we're going to see a change as on Tuesday, Mercury makes its way to the top of the zodiac, the 10th house, very much to do with how we think about our work and how we link to the wider world as it arrives in the sign of Capricorn. But it's going to be joined on Saturday by Venus, and they're going to continue their alliance. This suggests that our people skills and the way that we present ourselves can still be very important in terms of more worldly interactions. But right at the heart of this week, Mars, which has ended that very draining and enervating square with Neptune last week, that comes into play in an exact conjunction with the moon in the sign of Gemini, which is in direct opposition with the sun, with the full moon, and that occurs on Thursday. This is quite a volatile combination, I feel. So we can have very fast moving events, particularly around communications. Also, we may all find ourselves over the next couple of weeks wanting to defend our point of view quite fiercely. Also, some people can just feel enormously restless and want to break out and travel, be more physically active, but it is quite hard to embrace the more nurturing and more emotional energies of the moon in the detached sign of Gemini when Mars in its retrograde is so close to it. And I think, we see a lot of polarization of different viewpoints these days, so expect a lot of that in the following 2 weeks. The good news, however, is that Mars is in a semi-sextile with Uranus all this week. And if we can use our minds and our appetite for learning new skills, it could be a way that we can adopt fresh positions in terms of marshalling our resources. And of course, we're all needing to be much more conscious of the cost of things these days. Also, the Sun is going to be in an opposition with Mars from Tuesday through to the end of the week. So this is not a time to be too impatient, particularly around travel plans, because if we do rush to get to a destination, it's probably something that won't necessarily be to our best benefit. Much better to enjoy the journey and, if necessary, take the more circuitous but more picturesque route, whether metaphorically or actually. But also, as this week draws to a close, the Sun does move into a square with Neptune. So whereas Mars on the other side of the heavens was squaring up with Neptune from the start of October all through November and through the first few days of December, it's replaced on the other side of the heavens by the Sun. So the potential for confusion or amplification of sensitivities is given greater weight as this week draws to a close. Now, before I go on to tell you each of the 12 zodiac sign forecasts, if you would like to understand what year 2023 will hold for you as an individual, and above just the zodiac sign forecast in this broadcast, if you give me 3 pieces of your personal birth data of time, date and place of birth, I can give you your forecast for next year, the rest of this year free. But in my special package of 30% off, you can also get your life map. This is your character analysis to help you to understand the core energies that are at the root of your very being. Please see the link below for more. If you're new to my channel, thank you so much for joining me, and I'd be grateful if you would subscribe. Please click or tap on the bell notification symbol. If you're a long-term viewer, thank you so much for all your views. So Cancer, your week commencing the 5th of December forecast sees a mighty standoff between the Sun and also Mars. Now Mars continues to retrograde, but it is still in the very tender 12th house of your situation. It's no longer squaring Neptune, which is welcome, but this opposition with the Sun could force something into the open that's actually quite a tender matter. It may be to do with your work situation. Perhaps somebody's going to be a little bit critical of the precision that you apply to a task. You may feel that you're putting all of your effort and attention in a very productive way. Someone may see it differently. Whether they're going to tell you in a face-to-face way is another matter. When we get 12th and 6th house energy, it can create the potential for people to, basically be a bit two-faced, maybe talk with other people, not necessarily be very upfront and transparent. And of course, all of this is going to be threaded through a very sensitive full moon, because the moon will be allied to that rather tender Mars position. So this could be a week when something rather uncomfortable really becomes much more of a constant reality, and it could be balancing those practical issues with the more emotional and spiritual side of life. Maybe also it's about a prompt to you yourself to get a better balance between the amount of output and investment of time and energy you put into situations, with balancing that against your own deeper personal needs. More positively, I have to say, Mercury and Venus making their way into your opposite sign does give you the opportunity, even if something does come up which is a bit tricky, uncomfortable, a frank discussion which may not necessarily be that easy to go through. You have an opportunity with Mercury moving into your opposite sign to try to take a step back and view what the other person is saying in a bit more of a detached and logical way. And also, of course, with Venus moving into the 7th house, this encourages you to try to build alliances, find points of harmony. So even if that discussion does occur, which could be unsettling, I still feel there is a chance to gain from this. And essentially, it's a lot about really seeing outside your own perspective, and perhaps hearing other people's viewpoints. Perhaps our listening skills can sometimes get sidelined by our own personal perspectives. So that's what this week is really asking you to do. Deal with this rather unsettling energy, but try to have discussions to try to find those ways in which you can understand the different viewpoints, those of others, or explain yours in a clearer way. By the end of this week, however, the Sun and Neptune go into a square, and your physical vitality can be a little bit compromised, because there could be a part of you that actually wants to escape all demands and do something that's much more pleasurable, and perhaps more to do with your imagination and finding some peace and freedom, which obviously is a nice thing for all of us to try to attain. But those relationship dimensions can improve by open discussion as this week goes on.